Did you know that this device is programmed to keep you as poor as humanly possible? And if you got triggered, stick around with me until the end, because it has been proven that they literally have scientists at Apple and Facebook and YouTube whose full-time job is to keep you addicted to this little guy right here. They do it through colors, they do it through notifications, and that keeps you engrossed on your phone, which makes them more and more money. Yet, at the exact same time, this little guy right here has been responsible for generating me millions of dollars in profit every single year. So obviously it's incredibly powerful, but it's also very dangerous. And like anything else, if you use it incorrectly, it could be your downfall. So this video is going to be the top productivity hacks that I have for my iPhone that allow me to use it instead of having it use me. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Ravi Abuvala, founder of Scaling with Systems, where we build profitable client acquisition systems for our clients in order to help them scale. I have hundreds of thousands of followers across all my social media profiles. I have over 30 plus employees, and we have 2,000 clients. So obviously, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't use this little guy right here. But what I will tell you is that even though I do and have all of those things, I use this iPhone less than 10 minutes every single day. And I'm going to show you on this video how I'm able to achieve that. This video is going to have chapters and timestamps down below, so you can skip ahead if you want to. But the way that I'm pretty much going to structure this is I'm going to explain to you why I needed to change something with my iPhone, and then what I physically did in the iPhone in order to make that change. The first thing that we need to talk about when it comes to optimizing your iPhone for productivity is notifications. This alone, if you are willing to do this, will totally transform the relationship that you have with your phone. It pains me, literally, in my heart to see people when I'm at dinner or I'm hanging out with some of my team members have their notifications turned on and they have a text message pop up or an Instagram like pop up or a comment or some of the most silly and trivial things that they have their phone notify them as soon as it happens. So if I'm sitting having a conversation with somebody and all of a sudden, let's say it's at nighttime, we're at dinner, and all of a sudden their phone lights up, immediately they go down and they check their phone. I know that they're no longer paying attention to me. It takes them about 10 to 15 seconds to read it, and then it takes them about 10 to 15 seconds to once again look back up to me and get engrossed in the conversation. And that's if they just look back up to me, let alone get addicted back into their iPhone again, which, like I told you, is the way that these things are set up. So the first thing you need to do in order to get control back in your life is to turn off all notifications on your iPhone. And I know what you're thinking, Ravi, all notifications? Yes, all notifications. I have 0 notifications on my iPhone. The only one that I do have is on my settings to let me know when there's an update. But other than that, I don't have text messages turned on. I don't have calls turned on. No Instagram, no Facebook, no YouTube, no LinkedIn, no Slack channel, literally nothing, because I want to be able to stay very focused on the tasks that I have at hand. And I have learned after doing this for over 2 years now that there is absolutely nothing, I will say this again, absolutely nothing that is such an emergency that you need to stop everything you're doing right now and look at that notification. Because if it is that much of an emergency, someone will find a way to get in contact with you. And 99.9% of the time, it doesn't even come to that. Okay, so now that you know why you need to turn your notifications off, let's dive my iPhone real quick and let me show you how you can physically turn them off. So I'm on my home page here. If you click on settings and then you scroll down, there's that notification button there. And then you can see individually on every single app, you can see every single one of them are turned off for me. So if I was just to hop into one, for example, like the ones that I do have on are calendar, find my iPhone, I have one on for ForeFlight, which is I fly planes, in case you're new to the channel as well. So that's so I can see where I'm flying my plane to. But majority of these are turned off. And all you have to do is click on one of them. Let's say this was turned on. And you can turn off sounds, badges. But realistically, the easiest thing in the world is just to turn off all notifications. And you can obviously, I have dozens of apps on here. And the only ones that I have on are really ones that don't ever notify me, which are my notes or find my iPhone in case I lose my iPhone. All right, so your second iPhone productivity hack is going to be do not disturb. This one's pretty simple, and most people think that this is the end of the world, and the only people that I know that are using it are just using it maybe when they go to bed. But I keep my phone on 24/7, 365 do not disturb. I keep my iPhone on that, and I keep my computer on that. And by the way, everything that I'm talking about with your phones, you transfer over to your iPads and your computers. But I keep my stuff on do not disturb 24/7, which means that someone actually will go straight to voicemail as soon as they call me. Because in reality, let's go back to the notifications. Even if we turn off all notifications, your phone will obviously still ring when somebody calls you. You can't turn that off. but 99% of the time it's going to be a telemarketer, spam, someone trying to sell you something, or it's going to be somebody that you want to talk to, but do you actually need to talk to them right then at that moment? I actually batch my times and my days so that I can speak to people that I care about. Like on Sunday morning for 2 to 3 hours, I call the people that I care about most in this world and I have conversations with them. I don't need to be on anybody else's schedule, and creating my own schedule has created so much freedom in my life. I cannot stress that enough to you. But if you are, just like we talked about with the notifications, making it so that at any moment, anybody in the world can Google your name, find your phone, pick up the phone and call you, then there's no way you're actually going to be free, because you're always going to be hanging up that. So what I did is I turned do not disturb on, and now nobody can get through to my phone, and it usually will just go straight into voicemail, and I don't see it until I'm ready to see it, and at which point I'll decide whether I want to call that person back or not. Do not disturb is super easy to set up. If you actually swipe your finger down on the top right of your iPhone, you can see that little moon right there, because like I said, most people use it when they go to bed, but I keep it on 24/7 so that I don't have to worry about anybody calling me. And for my absolute savages out there like me and just don't want to talk to anybody else in the entire world, there is a app called RoboKiller, RoboKiller, that I personally use, which you can connect to your phone for like $97 a year. And what it does is it acts as a screening software between when someone calls you and who actually gets through. So no matter what, when somebody calls me, if I don't have their phone number saved in my phone, then what RoboKiller will do is make them say in a statement on the phone call who they are and why they're calling. And then it will actually transcribe those words and show me on my phone who it was and why they were calling. So I can make a decision right then and there live whether I want to answer that phone call or not. For example, like here's Cirrus. Recently I'm looking to potentially buy a new aircraft, a new plane. And so I filled out a form and I said, please email me, don't call me. But of course, Cirrus went ahead and called me because they're salespeople. And you can see basically newest Cirrus aircraft. So I actually chose not to answer that phone call. They got through my do not disturb, but they didn't get through the RoboKiller, and I was able to see who it was, and I just clicked decline. So I can just communicate them through email on my own time. Your third iPhone productivity hack is going to be to delete all apps. Yes, all of them. Okay, maybe not every single one of them, but I would say that probably 90% of them. I did this, my first purge 2 years ago, and I got rid of all gaming apps, like all stupid things that you've had on there that you've just accumulated over time. And that felt really good. But one thing that I did 6 months ago, which really transformed the way that I use my phone, is I deleted all of my social media apps. The only thing I have on here is Instagram, because that's the only way that I can upload a story. And I upload stories every single day. If you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you go check it out. But I use Instagram just for stories. But other than that, I don't use YouTube. There's no Facebook. There's no LinkedIn. There's nothing on there, so that I don't get distracted, because not only is iPhone trying to get me addicted to their phone, but these certain social media platforms are trying even harder because they're trying to run ads to you. So I deleted all of my social media apps, and I only have like a few dozen apps on here. And if I were to show you some of them, what they look like really quickly: Instagram, podcasts, WhatsApp. I have a software called Cut Story, which allows me to cut up my Instagram stories. I have a little folder for all of my crypto stuff inside of there. I have some of my travel stuff, like if I wanted to hop on a Bird scooter or Lime scooter, or my Airbnb apps. Like I have to have those because I travel quite a bit, but you get the idea behind it. I had hundreds and hundreds of apps before, and now I have less than 30 on my phone, and I'm still pruning those on a day-to-day basis. The reasoning behind that is honestly pretty simple. The more options that you have to get distracted, obviously the more distracted you will be. So simply just deleting all of the gaming apps on your phone and all the social media apps on your phone will allow you to be much more focused on the things you're doing and much less distracted. Also, I know a lot of people that are watching this video are like, Ravi, I'm a social media influencer and I run businesses online. Look, I get it. I have hundreds of thousands of followers across all my platforms. I have thousands of clients all online, and I'm still able to do it. So there are definitely ways around it. Like I still use YouTube, but I use it on my desktop computer. So remember, the idea here is not to totally abstain from all of these platforms. It's to use them to your advantage instead of having them use you. Your fourth iPhone productivity hack is going to be using app limits. So like I just talked about, we're still going to have some apps on our phone, and it's very easy for you to click on Instagram, you go there to post some piece of content, and then you find yourself suddenly 45 minutes later, you've been scrolling on the feed or checking out stories, or you're in the Discover page. It happens to me all the time. So what I've actually created is a hard stop inside of my iPhone settings. I'm going to show you here in a moment that after 20 minutes on Instagram, it actually comes up as a notification that I've spent too much time on Instagram today, and thus you can't use it anymore. This has been really, really great. Even just to bring awareness, like even if you want to use Instagram for 30 minutes or an hour every single day, you know, I don't really care how much you use it. But what you should be aware of is that if you put that limit on there, you can at least start seeing how much time you're spending on there, because I will be on Instagram and I will go there to post a story, and then I'll get distracted by something, and then all of a sudden my app limit comes up for 20 minutes, which means the last 20 minutes of my life just got sucked into the vacuum that is like the social media world, and I had no idea. So I think it's great. It's like a governor on a car that prevents you from going too fast. So I really love it. If you go on your iPhone and you click on settings, and then you actually scroll down to screen time, you can see this app limits button right here, and then you can see I have one for 20 minutes on Instagram, which is every single day. And then of course, if you wanted to use Instagram longer than that, it'll just pop up as a notification that you've hit your limit, and you can just say, hey, let me stay on there a little bit longer. But like I said before, it's just nice to even have the awareness that you're 20 minutes in. My fifth iPhone productivity hack is actually going to be the layout of my iPhone. So as you can see on my screen here, I keep almost no distracting apps on the home screen of my iPhone. I only keep things there that I typically use. So, you know, messages, Spotify, Audible, notes, reminders. I have my calendar there. On the bottom, I have Slack, my Safari, etc., etc. So I try not to keep anything really distracting, such as Instagram or YouTube, on my home screen, because if I make it that easy for me to jump in there, then obviously I'm going to do it. If you go over and I swipe over to my screen one time, you can see, like I talked about earlier, I break down my apps into 4 different things: entertainment, crypto/finance, travel, and utilities. Utilities is pretty much just like where I throw everything that doesn't fall in those other categories, and I almost never use it. But travel is going to be all my travel apps like Skyscanner and Airbnb and Bird and Uber. Crypto and finance, I'm big into crypto and finance, so all my investment apps, so I can check on that stuff when I want to. And then obviously the entertainment is just the one app that I have on there, which is going to be Instagram. So just having it so that I have to swipe over and then click on the app and then click on Instagram does keep my downtime there a lot lower than if I was, for example, opened up my iPhone and immediately there was Instagram. In order to create folders, it's super simple. You just drag and drop 2 things together, and then it will create one. So this obviously just automatically created one called Books, but I could change the name of it to whatever I wanted it to be. My 6th iPhone productivity hack is going to be to batch tasks. So there have been plenty of studies that show out there, and I am living proof of it. If you sit down and you just do things all at one time versus doing them sporadically through the day, you'll be much more efficient at it. And for me, I know that the things that I really need to do, like deep work for my company, such as creating better content for my clients, or, you know, creating employee handbooks, or creating sales funnels or advertising campaigns, I can't do that on my iPhone anyway. So I typically want to sit down in front of my computer for 6 to 8 hours at one standing and get all the work done that I need to. So either before I sit down on my computer or after I sit down on my computer, I will batch my tasks on my iPhone. For example, you know, text messages. I'm not saying I never check text messages, but I don't have the notifications turned on. And so one time every day, I pull up my text messages and I respond back to people. And I just do 10 to 15 minutes responding back to 10, 20 people. And I still don't even respond back to everybody, because there is no obligation that you have to respond back to everybody. And you might think you're being rude. Maybe you're being rude. Maybe you're not being rude. I don't really care. What I care about is my own efficiency and productivity, and having to text every single person in the world that has my number is obviously not conducive to that. To give you a funny story about that, my creative director, who is sitting right next to me right now, actually the elevator was down, and so he had to come up here to shoot some content with me, and I am like over 20 floors up. And so he actually took 20 flights of stairs to come up to my service back entrance, only to realize that when he got there that the door was locked, and then I didn't have my iPhone. I wasn't receiving calls, and so he had to walk all the way back down again and couldn't meet me because I didn't even know he was there. So that's an extreme case, but you know, in my defense, did he die? Was it the worst thing in the world? Absolutely not. And I could stay focused on what I was doing. So that's an extreme case. But even in that case, it wasn't like that was an absolute emergency that I had to turn my notifications back on my phone for. My 7th iPhone productivity hack is very simple. This one is barbaric, archaic, if you will. And that is to simply leave your iPhone in a different room. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. No software required, no complicated setup. Just whenever you're going to go do something, just leave your iPhone behind. That has been the easiest and simplest way for me not to get distracted by it. There is absolutely no chance ever that I keep my iPhone in my office. Sometimes I need to shoot a piece of content in my office, so then I'll go and grab my iPhone, I'll come back, I'll shoot the content, and I'll put it back. But 99.9% of the time, you can ask anybody that works at our company that comes to my house, it is literally left on my countertop, which I do not access. So that's like totally separate in a different room than where my office is. And that allows me to, in case all of the things fail and like somehow my iPhone starts screaming and chirping at me and wants me to check it, that I won't actually do it. And I think another really cool thing about it is that even if you make it so that your iPhone doesn't notify you, you have literally built-in habits that will just, if you have your iPhone next to you, that you'll just very instinctually, while the page is loading or while you're waiting for someone to show up for a Zoom meeting, you just casually pick up the phone and start on it. So if you don't have giving yourself that option to begin with, then that will be impossible to do. So for my 8th iPhone productivity hack, I just want to really simply walk you through what are some of the apps that I do use on my phone on a daily basis. So the first and foremost is going to be notes on my phone. So you can even see on here, I have typed out all the different steps that we're going to have for my YouTube video. I actually have a really cool pinned note up here too, which is all the links inside my company. So all of our affiliate links, all of our sales page links, any one of those things that I want to use, I can quickly copy that from my notes section of my phone. You also see that one up top called DM. That stands for daily meetings. So the meetings I have with my team, I write notes inside of there. Then there's content ideas. So all the different ideas that I come up with throughout the day. I'm reading a book, I'm listening to a podcast. I'm like, man, I should shoot a piece of content on that. I can put that in my iPhone. And then obviously I have a bunch of different notes underneath that as well. The other one that I absolutely love using is my calendar. So I am religious with my calendar, my iPhone calendar. I have all of my calendars synced together into one on my iPhone. So I have multiple people that have access to my calendar, such as my assistants or directors inside my company. And if I need to be there for an appointment, they don't even need to necessarily tell me. What they will do is just book the time in my calendar, and then they'll know that I will show up. I put everything inside of my calendar. To even give you an example right here, on Sunday, I'm working out with one of my old roommates, Justin, and you can see it's there on my calendar at 10 a.m. Because if it is not on my calendar, I will not go to it. And everybody in my life that is around me understands that's the case. And then the only final other thing that I use, other than pretty much the notes and the calendar thing on my phone, is going to be Slack, which is here on the bottom right. I won't open that up because obviously that has sensitive data inside the company, but I do like having Slack on my iPhone because I travel quite a bit, and having Slack on my iPhone allows me to be at the airport or even in my plane and be able to answer questions that my team has and not be the bottleneck in the process. Hey, really quickly, guys, if you've stuck with me this far and you enjoy me putting out videos like this, please take 2 seconds out of your day to just smash that fucking like button, and also hit subscribe so you can get notified when I put out videos just like this in the future. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and finally, my 9th iPhone productivity hack is going to be red light. So if you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I actually subscribe to the idea and the science behind your brain when you're trying to go to bed at nighttime. If it has bright blue light, then it will stop producing melatonin, which will thus make you have really crappy sleep. And I've experienced that myself. If I'm ever watching TV before I go to bed, or I'm working on my computer late before I go to bed, I always have terrible sleep. So one of the things that I do is I wear red light glasses. I turn all the lights in my house red before I go to bed at like 8 p.m. But also every once in a while, I do need to open my phone and turn something on or check something or set the alarm, something along those lines. So what I've actually done is created a shortcut on my phone so that whenever I want to, like let's say it's 8 p.m. at nighttime, I can actually triple tap the side button on my phone, and as you can see, the entire phone goes red. And this has 2 big benefits. Number 1, it doesn't have that bright blue light at nighttime, so it doesn't affect my sleep. But number 2, if you even understand anything about how science and your brain works, all of the bright colors for all of the different apps, like people are like, why is this color versus that color? It is because those crazy mad scientists have figured out that if they make the app this specific color, you are more likely that it hits dopamine in your brain, and you're more likely to click on that app. So if you stop yourself from being able to view those colors by creating what's known as a color filter, I'm going to show you on here in a moment, then you're not so like all of a sudden my iPhone under this red color filter just doesn't look as exciting. Like Instagram won't look as good. These apps don't look as good versus when you have regular color on there, everything is just like incredible and your brain's just being obsessed by those dopamine hits. So I'm going to triple tap to get out of that again to show you what the regular screen looks like. And then in order to set this up, you just go to settings. And then if you actually scroll up on your settings, you can type this in because I don't know the fastest way to get there. And you can type in color. And then right here, you see color filters. And it says color filters are off typically. So I would actually click turn them on real quick. And then you can turn the hue and the red filter. You can adjust all the things here to make it to the color that you want to do. I recommend as red as humanly possible, so that way you don't get distracted by all the different app colors. And then in order to create the shortcut so that you can get it in just 3 clicks, you actually go back to back. Then you click back to back again. And then under accessibility, at the very bottom underneath general, you see accessibility shortcut. And for me, I've chosen the color filter. So you can choose between, smart invert, reduce white point, reduce transparency, et cetera, et cetera. But I've chosen color filter because that's the quickest thing that I can use in order to be able to use my phone at nighttime or to not get addicted to my iPhone. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, how I use this thing to scale my business without becoming addicted to it. If you got value out of the video, please be sure to smash the like button and hit subscribe. Also, if you are a business owner and you're looking for a little bit more tangible ways that I can help you potentially grow your business, there is a link in the description down below where we walk you through how we guarantee we can bring you new clients in your business or your money back. Hope you guys have an incredible rest of the week, and I'll talk with you soon.